Some of you might be wondering if there are any plants that I regret growing. You also might be wondering why there's a flower zip tied to this branch here. I'll get to that in a minute, but first, welcome back to the garden. My name is Brandon and I garden in Zone 9B, Southeast Texas. And yes, there are some plants that I kind of regret growing, or I'll just put it this way, I don't plan on growing anymore going into 2026. I'm not a New Year's resolution kind of person, but this is one I can get behind. So this year I've decided that there are a number of plants that I either want to completely eliminate from the garden, don't grow them anymore, or I'm greatly reducing how many of them I grow. And I've been removing these already this week, and I just realized that, I've almost got none to show you anymore, to show you why I'm not going to grow them anymore. This is a much beloved plant here in Southeast Texas, so this video might catch me a little bit of shite. In case you don't recognize this, this is Hibiscus mutabilis, or otherwise known here in the South as Confederate rose. Yet again, another little piece of kind of hypocrisy, because there's this whole story behind them about how the blood of a Confederate soldier fell on a flower and it went from white to red, because this flower can change colors. It actually usually opens white and then it changes to red or pink. I say hypocrisy because this plant is not native to the United States. This plant is from China, I believe. I want to talk about why I'm not growing this plant anymore, or I'm greatly reducing it. And you can kind of see why if I take you back and we look at this individual here. Let me make sure that it's all in frame. So with this individual here, you can tell what I was trying to do, and this is what I try to do with most plants that have the ability to grow a trunk, and that is that I was trying to turn it into a tree. So to get into the first reason why I'm not going to be growing this plant anymore, it doesn't like to be a tree. Same with the Vitex that I've talked about before, or Vitex agonist castus, or chaste tree. You see, I've been cutting these off all year, so this is not as bad as it can be. These are the last few shoots that grew up after I did my last pruning on this. They've been going dormant for a little while now, which is another reason that I don't want to grow them anymore. They don't look good for most of the year. And same with the Vitex, but again, the Vitex may be another video. I'm not removing any of those right now explicitly, but I am not adding any more. So, you know, this doesn't look too bad. It does have a good trunk, although I went too far with it, and it's really heavy here. And if I was going to keep this, and this might be the one that I decide to keep, and I'm real on the fence about that. No pun intended, fence. But if I did keep this, I would have to probably sacrifice this branch back here because it's leaning on the fence. I could try to pull it away. This is a very flexible plant. Doesn't break easily, that's good. I have had them break in storms. The hurricane broke one up here in the driveway, but I know I'm being a little long-winded about this, but basically it doesn't cooperate with what I want it to do. Now, if you cut them all the way back to the ground every year and let them come back up, that's when they look their best. That's actually the only reason I still have this flower to show you here, is because this is growing on a plant that's in the front yard. Oh, right, why did I zip tie this flower to this dead branch to show this to you? Well, all of the remaining ones are growing along the front fence line, and I just don't feel like being seen filming out there. I'm very shy about filming. I'm not one of those social media influencer type people who's okay with filming in public. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way I look, and I don't think that's going to change. So that's why I have this zip tied here, but I am going to briefly show you the other specimens that I have left, because it helps to illustrate some other problems with these. But the main two that I can show you on this one is that, number one, it grows a lot of sprouts from the bottom, and so I'm constantly having to prune them off to keep this tree shaped. Also, there is a risk that it can die to the ground in a hard freeze. Now, the last 2 years, they have not died to the ground, which is why this one is as big as it is, but the risk is always kind of there. They definitely all died to the ground in their first year for me, but then for some reason, and this is not the first plant to do this, they did not die to the ground in the following years. So we're going to go look at another specimen to talk about the other reason that I'm going to be cutting these out of the garden. So this here is another specimen that has gotten pretty large, and I've not stayed super on top of keeping it in a shape that I like. This one is growing in more shade than the other ones, and that really highlights a particular problem, which I'm going to have to really bring it in to look at closely. But that is, actually, I can just bring the problem to you. That is that these guys are really, really big magnets for whitefly and some other pests that I don't even really have properly identified. But you see these little guys under the leaf here? These are, I believe, mostly whitefly, and what they cause on the branches, I'll just take you over there to look, is a sooty mold that grows on them because the whiteflies, like aphids and other sap-sucking insects, they urinate a sugary substance, and it falls down onto the branches and also onto all of the plants below. Everything that was growing down below these also was getting covered in a sooty mold. And so that is a really big reason why I do not plan to grow these anymore, because a lot of the native type plants, they don't really get this. And you know, when you're talking about native plants and ecology, having insects on your plants is a good thing. You know, they're food for other animals, going all the way up the food chain. But this being a non-native, plus the inconvenience of it just causing so much of that sooty mold all over the plants underneath, combined with the other reasons, like how weird it looks. It doesn't turn into a nice looking tree. I'll show you this on the specimen at the front corner of the yard over here, but this one didn't even, I don't know if it made any flowers at all this year. You see those black balls up there? Let me make sure that you can see them. So these up here are the flowers that would be, I know that it's at the very top of the frame there, but you see those there, and there's one there and one there. Those guys are the flowers. And this particular cultivar, the really big poofy pink one that I showed in the rest of this video, is particularly prone to not even being able to open its flowers all the way. I'm not sure exactly why that is. The less doubled cultivar with less petals seems to do better, but I don't ever see those looking a lot better than these either. So I'm done with all of them. Again, if a plant, especially if it's non-native, is starting to give me trouble, I'm just not going to grow it anymore. I will find something else to replace it that does better, performs better, looks better, or has some other use to wildlife or to me. So this is a plant that I will not be carrying into 2026. Now, real quickly, I'm going to show you the other specimens that I have left, and then I'm going to talk about, real fast, what I did to the others. This is another specimen that I am going to be cutting out. I was getting ready to do that actually today, and then I thought, oh no, I really wanted to do this video talking about why I'm not growing this plant anymore, because a lot of people want to grow this. And look, I change my mind very quickly, and I don't mean in reverse. I don't decide that I don't like something and then I come back to it quickly. I mean, I can grow things for a while and then finally realize, oh, you know what? I don't like this anymore. I don't think this is a good plant to grow here. And especially learning about natives lately, that's where I've come to realize that a lot of the plants that I grow aren't really worth growing. So this is another specimen that I'm getting ready to cut out of here. And really, it's one of the prettier looking ones, but I'm done with it. I've also kind of got a successional planting thing going on here. There are a lot of things growing around here. By the way, this native plant here, which looks its worst right now, but will look better, in a few months whenever things start to really come back to life. This is Baccharis or Baccharis, and it's either Baccharis helimifolia or neglecta, I'm not sure. It's got a couple of common names too. This is one of the plants that I'm choosing to grow instead of things like this for a little bit more privacy screening, a little bit more overhead shade, filtered shade, because that is important to the kind of plants that I want to grow down below that are mostly pollinator plants. But I also have some taller things here. I recently found out that the Houston Garden Center sells these. I know it looks a little rough right now. It's because it's kind of going into shock. I just planted it recently. This is a cherry laurel, or Prunus caroliniensis or carolinianum, I'm not sure. And these are, I didn't know this, a really popular privacy screening hedge. I'm going to kind of turn it into a tree, but I'm also going to keep a lot of lower branches to hedge it out, just like I do with the wax myrtles, like the one over here. And I've got a lot of things. Some of them are dormant. I've also got a non-native here. But this is one of the specimens, and I want to try to show you the other couple of them before I close out this video. We're going to do another walkie-talkie segment as I walk to the front so I can show you Miss Peggy Martin, who is going through a partial bloom right now. If you would like me to do a video talking about Peggy Martin and how I deal with her, let me know, because she is a pretty cool rose and one of my few remaining roses that I still grow. Oh, look, I've got two specimens up here I forgot about. So I've got this one that is the largest and oldest. And then I've got another at the corner of the yard. Now this one is another one that, like I said, I'm trying to grow into multiple trunks. Single trunked, but I have multiple trunks on the single trunk. I know that sounds funny. It sounds funny to me. But again, it's kind of failed for me, and I'm removing it and replacing with other things. This one is one that I cut completely to the ground this year, and it's the better looking one, or at least it was the better looking one throughout the year. You can see it does still have its flowers, and you know, this is probably the best it's looked all year with the flowers, and it really doesn't get much better than that for this one. Like I said, it may be the cultivar, I don't know, but I'm done with it. I'm just done with it. I don't have time for this. So yeah, I'm cutting those all down, mulching them out, and let's show real quick. Oh no, I've got my neighbors outside. I'm not gonna show real quick what I did to them because I'm already exposed enough here on camera. So I'm gonna close this video out for now. But yeah, this is a plant that I'm not carrying into 2025. I'm about to get rid of the rest of them, and as they come up and try to grow back, I'm just gonna chop them to the ground and turn them into mulch too. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Also, think about what you might not want to grow in 2026 anymore.